you don't have to keep making the same mistake once you realize it's a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making that mistake already. Hey, hi. I'm Angel. Thanks for stopping by. I think a lot of times we get stuck in like an ego trap, which I don't mean like egotistical, I mean like who you think you are, the story that you tell yourself about who you are, the story I tell myself about who I am. When you realize that that story is made up, that you're the one making it up, and you're making it up usually based on your experiences, your genetics, your past, and all that. However, there's always a different way to tell your story. And I've run into people who are so resistant because they've hung on so rigidly to their idea of who they are for such a long time, like a lot of times since birth, for example, seems to be the hardest one for people to overcome. If somebody has told you that you're like destined to do something, for example, would be a good side, a good or a bad side of it, I guess, depending what they say you're destined to do. Destined for greatness, though, let's say, that can have a significant positive impact, so that's a great thing to tell your kids, and it becomes true as you believe it, basically. Conversely, if you believe you're like destined to die for your religion, there's a good chance you're going to do that. I have a friend, in fact, who was raised with a certain modality of Christianity which really believes in punishment, and he spends a lot of time punishing himself for things he believes he did, and even like tries to take on the sins of others and punish himself for those in the way that his understanding of the story of Jesus did. And I understand little glimmers of that, but I think it's just suffering for no good reason. And I think, to me, we're all interconnected. So I think you're doing yourself and others a disservice when you tell a shitty story about yourself and then hang on to it for so long, even after it's apparent. I think it's important to remember we're all of us humans, your brain will naturally make up some shitty stories. It doesn't make you flawed, it doesn't make you special, it doesn't make you a terrible person, it just makes you a human being. And you can train your brain. You can train your body, just like you can train your body, you can train your brain. Just like you can train your brain and your body, you can actually train your energetic alignment. I was going to say your spirit, but I think that's just semantics for one thing, and I don't want to use that word or the word hate in this conversation, even though I just used them both. Anyway, the point that I was making is that once you realize that something, a belief about you got you stuck, it's a limiting belief, then figure out how to change it. Either gain a new skill so that it no longer becomes truth, that belief about yourself, or investigate where that truth came from, and you may find that someone else just made it up, because everything is ultimately made up, I'm telling you. Anyway, investigate, or maybe just suspend your belief for a little while you entertain other ideas a little bit and see how those feel. See if you can't find a place where you feel better about your story. Just make subtle little shifts in the story. Sometimes it's just tweaking a little word in your story, or sometimes it's the whole story needs rewriting. If your story is making you feel bad, your story about yourself, that's that ego, the mask, the person, the persona, the character that you play in this life. If that's somebody isn't making you happy, then I was just thinking of something else, so I want to throw this in there. Really, we play different roles in life, right? So I think of it as different hats, but just the other day I was listening to a mentor of mine, and she was talking about how it could be a good idea to give your self-critic a separate name. I think she said she calls her Susan, which then she had to apologize to all the Susans, because clearly she was thinking of that as a name for a critical side of herself. But anyway, the point being, if you kind of personify individual aspects of your character, your ego, that might help you see if there's one of those areas that really has negative stories more than the others, and you might be able to integrate or influence the story of that character, or just bring it out less, like your self-critic, for example. But I do think that being playful with it is pretty much always the answer. And remembering that you can change, even if it's been a long time that you've been developing a habit that doesn't serve you. Even if you've been overweight your whole life, and your parents were overweight, and your grandparents were overweight, and your whole country is overweight, you still don't have to be overweight if you don't want to. And even if you've never been good at remembering people's names, you could train your brain and get really good at remembering people's names. Just look up Jim Quick if you don't know his story. He's a great example of that. Anyway, and he has some great free lessons to help you if you are interested. Back to the point, or if you're in a relationship that's really making you unhappy, but you've been in it a really long time and you think, it's just too late to change. I'll never find another person, or I'm so ingrained in this that I can't change myself. While it is true that you may very well create the very same kind of relationship if you're bringing your baggage forward, believe you me, I've tried this. I've seen other people try it too. And bringing your baggage, your story from your other relationships into your new relationships pretty much guarantees that you're going to have a repeating pattern of the same thing you got in a different relationship in your new relationship, because it's you. You brought that shit on yourself. That's what a good friend of mine likes to say. Anyway, when we remind each other that it's all made up, that it's us making it up, and that if you don't like it, you can change it. You can change it if you don't like it. I gotta keep my eyes on the road. Anyway, let me know in the comments if there's something you're working on changing. I'd be happy to try to help you. I actually am writing a course called Overcoming Your Limiting Beliefs, which is the product of me going through this process myself. And I like to teach by learning, and I needed to go through that myself. I was really being held back by a lot of limiting beliefs. And of course, as I overcome some of my limiting beliefs, I run into others. So I don't know if I'll ever reach a point where I have no limiting beliefs. I expect that some of them probably serve me pretty well right now, like that my skin keeps my meat hung onto my bones, for example. Like, that's sort of, I don't know if that counts as a limiting belief, but it's a boundary. I'll have to ponder that a little bit. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're working on overcoming any of your own limiting beliefs, or if maybe you just realized, had an aha moment, as Lisa Nichols calls them, where you just realized that you were holding yourself back, holding yourself small, holding yourself down with a story about yourself that needs updating. A lot of times we have stories up there that made sense when we were 2, 3, maybe even 1 year old, where, you know, we came up with a storyline, a rationalization for why we felt a certain way, or why people were behaving towards us a certain way. But those need updating all along the way. And even, you know, I'm 47 now, and I'm updating a lot of my beliefs. Probably by the time I'm 67, I'm gonna have to do some more updating all along the way, in fact. So once you discover that a belief is not helping you, that it's holding you back, see if you can't change it. Realize that you can if you want, and decide if you want to or not. And if you decide that you want to, I guarantee you can. There are tools out there, tricks out there, exercises you can do, just like you can build your body into being different, you can build your mind into being different, you can build your attitude, your character, all of it. You can completely change who you are if you want. Probably you don't want to, because probably a lot of that is serving you really well, and you're an awesome, magical person, and you need to stay true to you. Still, update, adjust, realign with your true self and who you want to be, and don't let any shitty stories hold you back from that. That's my 2 cents. For today, I wish you peace, prosperity, positivity, fastness, fun, laughter, love, and playfulness. Ciao.